Hi, and welcome back to ScrivTalk. I'm so glad you're here with us. I'm Leanna George. I am the co-owner of Scrivenings Press and an author, and I am excited to host this channel where we get to talk to Scrivenings Press authors about the stories behind their stories. So I'm excited to introduce another wonderful author that we have with an upcoming release, Sarah Ann Crouch, and her contemporary romance novel New Beginnings in Shady Springs. Will be releasing soon. And before we get into the nitty-gritty about the book, let me introduce you to Sarah in case you haven't been with us before. Sarah lives in Arkansas with her husband and three children and thousands of books. I'm going to question her about that in a minute.
Yeah.
She's always wanted to be an author, but spent some time as a teacher, earned a degree in library science, and makes feeble attempts to corral her small children as a stay-at-home mom. Sarah loves reading books, recipes, piano music, and emails from readers. So, welcome back to Script Talk, Sarah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, do you really have thousands of books?
We do. Let me see if I can show you a few of them. We have lots of bookshelves in our house. Every room has a bookshelf. They
Oh,
mostly belong to my husband,
uh-huh.
but I do own a few of them.
All right. I love it. I'm jealous. We're building the house, and I told my husband I need lots of bookshelves.
Oh, that's
Oh,
exciting.
yes. Sorry, we're gonna have guests and more guests
That's
on
okay.
the show. All right. Well, I'm glad. And now you are buying books. You have a new job buying
I
books.
do.
That's
Yes, I
exciting.
guess I need to update my bio.
Yeah,
I didn't want to do it prematurely, but
sure.
I just this month, so at the 1st of June, started working as I'm the new acquisitions assistant at the Harding University Library, and I am the official book buyer for the library
I
now.
love it. I love it. Just,
Yeah,
wow, you get to pick books. What a great job.
it is. Yeah.
I worked in a library when I was in college. Loved it. It was my favorite. I mean, I spent 3.5 years doing that. Loved every minute of it. Loved every minute of it.
Oh, good.
I love libraries. I always have.
Me too.
Yeah, yeah. So how exciting that you get to do that. So,
Yeah.
well, let's talk a little bit about where you can, it's been a while since Christmas
Hmm.
in Shady Springs came out. And
Yes.
so let's start with where readers find themselves at in Shady Springs at the beginning of this book.
So New Beginnings picks up about a year, a little more than a year after Christmas in Shady Springs.
Okay.
So it is now springtime in Arkansas. Madeline and AJ have moved away and they've been gone for a little while. And there were a lot of jobs that AJ did in the church that are now, somebody else needs to be doing those jobs,
Uh-huh.
specifically the youth group. And so the book starts in March, a few weeks before spring break, right in the thick of Arkansas spring weather.
Mm, okay. Well, that sounds really good. Now, catch everybody up with what the goings-ons of Shady Springs. And you talked a little bit about Christmas, but we've also got homecoming and we've also
Hmm.
got summer. So talk us through a little bit of what life in Shady Springs is like and the characters
Yeah.
that live there.
So I based Shady Springs on my childhood hometown of Prairie Grove, Arkansas, which is up in Northwest Arkansas. Um, and it's small. It's grown a lot since I graduated high school, but it still is kind of a small town with that small town feel, just a really tight community. And the first book is really about Madeline and her coming back to Shady Springs after she had been hurt by some people there. And then the second book is about her parents. This book, New Beginnings, is about Clara, her aunt.
Okay.
And I'm really excited because she was always one of my favorite characters. So it was a
Oh,
lot of fun to get to write about her.
yeah. I bet it is. I bet it is.
Yeah.
So, Clara, Madeline's aunt, has been widowed for about 6 years, and she's kind of
Yes.
settled into this quiet, meaningful life with her students and church and garden, which, most widows usually, what you would find. But what drew
Mhm.
you to writing her story at this stage of life?
So I knew from the beginning when I started thinking about this as a series and not just a standalone book that I wanted one book about Aunt Clara. Um, a lot of the decisions that I made in this novel were just consequences of earlier decisions that I had made in the series. And in book one, Madeline has this aunt who takes her in and convinces her to take a job with the church in Shady Springs. And I had just decided through the course of writing that book that she is a widow and she is a science teacher. And so that was just kind of because of those choices that I made, then that led me
Oh.
to where I was in book four.
Gotcha. And that's so hard, right? Because we write book one, and then it could
Yes.
be several years before we get around to
Hmm.
book three, book four, and we kind of forget what we said in book one because we didn't think that it would have any implications, right?
Right.
And then we find
Yeah.
ourselves later on down the road, and we're like, oh, well, she's getting her own story, but now I got to deal
Yes.
with this. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
the life of a writer, right?
Yes.
Well, let's talk about your hero, Sam Sullivan, who is a young preacher with a painful past and a heart for ministry. How did his backstory shape the man he is in your story?
Hmm. Um, so when, again, in book one, I had Sam, I wanted him to be kind of a mentor figure, someone who is wise, not just because he knows a lot about scripture, but because he has faced a lot of challenges in his own life. And so his path to ministry was a little unconventional, but I just wanted that depth to him. Someone who is not, didn't just have a perfect life growing up. He had a lot of challenges. And my mom actually was the one. I remember we were going for a walk and I was telling her about new beginnings and what I was kind of thinking about for it. And she said, well, I think he needs a good reason why he's never gotten married before.
Mm,
And so we ended up giving him even more hardship, and he had this broken engagement from earlier that left him thinking that he was never going to get married and that just wasn't in the cards for him.
yeah. Yeah, sometimes, I mean, that's what we have to do to our characters, right? We have to make their lives
Yeah.
worse.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, Clara and Sam start more as friends and ministry partners
Mhm.
or romance becomes possible. So, what did you enjoy about developing their slow burn, um, deep connection?
I really liked it
Yeah.
because I think it is more true to life, maybe than the, I the meet cute where you bump into somebody
Yeah.
and, somebody falls down or you break your cell phone or what, like
Sure.
which is kind of how I had Madeline and AJ meet, that was really fun.
Mhm.
But I mean, my husband and I were friends for years before we started dating. And
Okay.
I think that a lot of people are like that as well, that you end up falling in love more slowly. And so it was really nice to get to write some more mature characters and a more mature relationship between them that had had time to develop.
Yeah. Well, and two, you're writing from your own experience, right? Which
Mhm.
is what we do as authors.
Yes.
They tell you write what you know, right? So you're writing from your own experience. But I think also I love the parallelism of you evolving as a writer, right? And
Yes.
that your characters and your story is evolving and maturing
Hmm.
as well. And so that's a beautiful play, right there on that.
Yeah, I hadn't
Yeah.
thought of that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now tell us a little bit about Micah Simpson because he plays a really important role in the story. So, what can you share about his character and why he became such a meaningful part of the book?
So Micah is a teen. He is in the youth group in Shady Springs and goes to Shady Springs High School. He's Clara's student, but then he also interacts with Sam at church. And Micah, kind of like Sam, has some family trauma. His mom has really struggled and she's in rehab now, and Mike is living with his grandparents, and is going through a really hard time. And Clara, who is a teacher, and has her love for her students, and then Sam is working with the youth group at the church, are both interacting with Micah, and he's a force that brings them together.
Okay. I love that. I love that. And how did you decide to bring somebody like Micah into the story?
He he was important for both of them, but especially for Sam because he is holding up a mirror to Sam so that he can see um, someone who has faced similar challenges.
Hmm.
And when Sam speaks to Micah, he's saying things that he needs to hear himself.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Sorry, my dogs are just not behaving tonight.
that's okay.
I've got it's her. She's the instigator. The other one would just sit quietly. So
Yeah.
talking about a disaster. Let's talk about you because you have shh, this devastating tornado changes Shady Spring.
Yes.
So why a natural disaster as a turning point in the novel?
I I knew if it's springtime in Arkansas, I have to have a tornado.
Hmm.
We don't have bad storms every single year in Arkansas, but it's pretty close. We have a lot of bad storms in the spring in Arkansas. And in fact, when I was in the process of writing this book, we were going through a season of bad storms.
Hmm.
So it's just a reality of living here.
Yeah.
And the tornado kind of took different shapes through different drafts of the novel, but I always knew that I was definitely going to have a tornado.
Okay. So do you live in Tornado Alley there in the
I don't know if it's officially called, I don't know because I've seen different versions of the map, but we do get a lot of tornadoes. Our house has never been hit by one, but our town has in the
Okay.
past.
Okay. So again, speaking from experience, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I love that. I mean, sorry, I don't love that your house or your town got hit by a tornado.
Right.
But I love how you use real life to help you, with your stories and to craft them. Because I think when we are realistic with what we write, readers really pick up on that. Because I mean, there are probably going to be some readers who have sat through a tornado and they know what
Mhm.
that's like, so they can connect with the story at a deeper level, I
Yeah.
think. So I do think that I love that you're doing that. So, of course, we've had hurricanes here in Houston.
Hmm.
So, and
Hmm.
we've had other um, traumatic things happen to our community.
Yes.
And I love
Yeah.
how communities come together, right, after a
Hmm.
disaster of any kind, right?
Yes.
And so what did you want to show about the church and the community during a season of crisis?
I didn't realize when I started this series how much church and community were going to be a part of each story. Um, in book one, Madeline is struggling with she feels like she's been hurt a lot by the church.
Mm.
In book two, the church is a support system for Henry when he loses someone that he loves. In book three, we've got a wedding at the church and everybody's, rallying together for that. And then in book four, it's this disaster that hits Shady Springs, and then the church is, I mean, not just because of the disaster. There's other ways that it comes into play, but it's really it ended up being kind of a love letter to this
Hmm.
to the real church and
Yeah.
this fictional church in Shady Springs. I think I wanted to show how important and how valuable that can be. I know that
Yeah.
our church families everywhere that we've lived have brought us meals when we had a baby or helped us pack up a moving truck when we were moving or just have been there for us in a million different ways. And so I just wanted to show how a church family could work for good.
Hmm. And I think that's so important in this time
Yeah.
because, I mean, everybody sees a church in such a negative light sometimes,
Mhm.
and they don't realize just how much it can be, a help in hard times. And hopefully, get to see that it's not all what people make it out to be as something terrible. Right.
Yeah.
So definitely. Okay, well, we can't overlook, you know, Derek Watterson because he's kind of a he wants kind of puts a dent in Clara's plans, right? Because he's another
Yes.
possible path forward. So, how did his
Yes.
presence help Clara understand what she really needed and wanted?
That was I just kind of wanted to add a little bit of complications. I was talking to someone, a reader, and they were talking about how they really love when you have like a love triangle or that we don't have enough of those like complicated love stories nowadays. And I realized that I hadn't made my characters' lives hard enough. And so, but Derek also helps Clara to see herself in a different light.
Hmm.
She has decided I had my one great love, and that's it for me, and I'm happy with that, and I'm okay with that. She's kind of oblivious to romantic things, because her first husband was just very direct and to the point.
Hmm.
And so she's never, she's just hasn't had a lot of experience with dating.
Yeah.
And so Derek really opens her up to that possibility that,
Yeah.
maybe there is romance in my future.
Yeah. Well, I love that you did a love triangle with a more mature audience or more mature
Mhm.
characters because so many times I think in readers' minds, love triangles are just for high school kids
Yeah.
and young adults, right? And
Hmm.
again, you're flipping this whole, mature character intention. And I love that. I really do because
Thanks.
it does happen. You know,
Right. Yeah.
it does happen. Uh,
Yeah.
but again, I love how you're putting that realistic because, like, if my husband died, we've been married for it'll be 35 years. And so if he died, I wouldn't know how to date. I mean, we've been
Hmm.
together since I was 18, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't know how to date somebody again. And it's one of the reasons I don't write romance is because I haven't dated in so long. I'm like, I wouldn't know what to do anymore because, everything changes. So,
Yeah.
it is. It's good to put that realism in there because and
Hmm.
I think there are older people who are struggling with some of that, and it's hard for them to find books they can relate to. And so I love that you're offering that as well. So, we know that the book talks about second chances, right? We've got love
Hmm.
after loss, faith after pain, community after disaster, and hope after disappointment, which, like you said, we as authors constantly need to be making our characters' lives worse. But which
Yeah.
of those themes felt most central to you as you wrote?
So, that's a really good question. I think that they were all really important, but that the central theme of New Beginnings is love after loss.
Mm,
Clara and Sam and Micah all have to figure out they have to learn how to trust someone after they have been hurt in one way or another, which is really challenging.
Yeah.
Um, it's difficult but necessary.
Okay. Well, I just love how you've brought this full circle, how you have just touched on all these themes and really, you know, like I said, meeting readers where they are in books that they don't normally see that. So good job on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So were there any characters or moments that kind of surprised you as you were wrapping everything up in this final book?
Um, it's funny how like I always laugh at other authors when they say like, "Oh, I didn't think that this was going to happen." And but it does when when you're in that creative headspace,
Hmm.
sometimes just things from your subconscious pop out. And so I had not planned on, there were a few things that I hadn't planned on happening that just they happened while I was writing. So, like, Clara loses her car after the tornado
Mm.
and has to get a rental car and then she has to buy a car. And that was something where it was just a little wrench that I threw in for myself and then had to figure out how to get my way out of it.
Yeah.
Um, and the gardening, there was so gardening is really important in the story, and that was something that I did not, that was again something that I wrote about Clara in book one
Uh-huh.
and then ended up revisiting again in book two and then really in book four that gardening is very important to her and to the whole story.
Okay.
Um, I was also surprised just over the course of the series how much I grew to really love certain characters.
Mm.
So Henry and Clara, I think, are my two favorites from Shady Springs. And when I first started mapping out the series, Henry was actually more of a villain, but he ended up being a more fleshed out, dimensional character. And so I ended up really falling in love with him. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We do. We fall in love with these people. We spend so much time with them, right?
I
We
know. Yeah,
get to
it
know
does. It
their,
makes us sound a little crazy,
it
but
does.
it,
Yes.
yeah.
But we have to know their ins and outs. I mean, we need to know what's their
Yes.
favorite color and what's their favorite thing to eat. So
Yeah.
it is like really good friends or family. So
Yeah.
it does make sense that when we have to say goodbye to them, um, there's a sadness, right? There's
hmm
bringing
hmm
some closure. Although I wasn't that way. I was like, after 5 years, I'm good.
You're like
I'm kind
done.
of sick
Yeah.
of them. Some people aren't like me and actually, do get sad about closing.
Yeah.
So, so, but what's it like for you now that you're closing this series? And, I know, are you excited for what's ahead? Are you, hoping that you've done, wrapped it up well, that,
Oh, for sure.
that there's nothing that you wish you would have included that you hadn't?
Well, it's funny how I don't know if this happens to you, but I will constantly have a thought. I'll hear somebody say something and I'll think, oh, I need to add that to my book. And then I remember, no, it's published and it is too late. You cannot do anything.
About it.
So I felt a lot of pressure as I was writing this last book, to really do it justice, both because of my readers, but also because I really loved these characters that I was writing about. And so I wanted to, tie a bow on it and do a really good job. There are I feel like I pretty much tied up all the loose ends, but there's still a little room for the reader to imagine, what might happen next to these characters.
Sure, sure. We always like that, right? There's always that hope that
Yeah.
maybe you'll come back and revisit them just a little bit. Yeah. Well, what do you hope that longtime readers feel when they finish this final visit to Shady Springs?
I hope that I hope that they're satisfied, that they feel some contentment with how the story ends and some closure. Um, and I hope that they feel like it's like visiting old friends
Mm,
that I know I've come to love them, so I hope that my readers have too.
yeah, that's really good. Well, if somebody were to just start with New Beginnings in Shady Springs, would that confuse them? Do they need to begin with, the first one, Summer in Shady Springs, or do they can they go out of order?
I am probably not a reliable source for this question. I really think that any of the books can be read out of order. I
Okay.
have been told by some of my readers that they really prefer starting with the first book and going in order. But I think more than any of them, New Beginnings, you could really read this one first and be
Mhm.
totally fine, because it's the characters from the earlier books pop in, but they're not central to the story.
Okay.
I might not be the most reliable source for this, but I think you could start with New Beginnings.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, especially when you have the same characters, people are always like, I know this was the case for mine, right? If they picked up book
Hmm.
three, which was the final book of my series, they were always like, oh, I wish I would have started with what book one.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
But then there are some series where they're just completely standalone and you can read them in.
Right.
So,
Yes. Yeah.
I always ask authors that because um, that way it helps the readers kind of know a little bit too.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right, so what's next for you after Shady Springs?
Well, as we talked about, I just took a new job that I'm working full time, and so I am going to be slowing down a little bit,
Hmm,
but I definitely still have lots of ideas, and I'm never going to completely stop writing.
good.
Um, I have really enjoyed my book two of the Shady Springs series was about a college town, and I really enjoyed that. And now I'm working at a university library with college students, and that's something that I might try to lean into for my next book.
Oh,
So we'll see.
fun. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Search.
Yes.
Right? And then, I was thinking about when you said, you heard something, you're like, oh, I want to put it in, but it's too late.
Yeah.
Those are the wonderful things that we write down. And we're like, when we need something, we can flip through our little book of,
Yes. Yeah, I keep
little notes.
like a note on my phone
Yeah.
of story ideas. It's getting really long, so
Good, good. I'm
yeah.
glad. Yeah. Well, I hope that you, hey, come here. I'm trying to finish it up and they're just making it go on longer. Sorry. Just hope that, you have really enjoyed this series, writing it, sharing it with your audience, because we're so grateful that you did. And I hope that we will see you back here on Script Talk very soon. But
Yeah, I hope
enjoy your
so.
new time, your new experience. And it just offers, like I said, new ways to craft new stories. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Thank
great.
you, Leanna.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tell people how they can connect with you. So if they want to learn more about you or, your books and your stories.
Yeah, so I am on Facebook and Instagram at Sarah Ann Crouch. And you can find me on the Scrivenings website also.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've got a newsletter. So my website is sarahanncrouch.wordpress.com. And so you can go there to learn more about my books, and you'll get a little pop-up to sign up for my newsletter if you'd like that.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I encourage you all to do that. Keep up with Sarah and her happenings because she will not disappoint at all. So,
Thank you.
anyway, thanks everyone for joining us today. If you're going to, and if you've enjoyed watching this, despite my dogs and their loud barking occasionally, then we hope you will like, share, and of course, subscribe to our channel so you never miss any of our wonderful Scrivenings Press authors share their story behind the story. We really appreciate it and we love doing it for you. So leave us a comment, let us know, what you want to hear, what you think about Sarah's stories. And obviously, till next time, happy reading. We'll see you again.